don't believe Magnus Carlsen will play this. Well, he plays. Well, that's a fantastic line. Knight f3 and then g5. Please go g5 because this practically forces white to sacrifice the piece. There is a fantastically entertaining line. g5, d4, g4. No. Well, that's a very modest move. I mean, white should be fine after that, after bishop b4. And by fine, I actually mean better. Like good old times coming back, and I was really expecting like black to go g5, you know. Well, so it's more or less a king's gambit, right, with the inclusion of knight c3 and knight c6. Yeah, and if not in blitz, then where do you play the king's gambit? Yeah, bishop b4 wasn't such a brilliant move. Bishop to a5. Now white can develop bishop to c4, castle short. Oh, well, he goes for c3, which is, well, another move which makes a lot of sense.
But I was about to play knight.
Knight e7 or f6.
From somewhere back.
g7 or knight f6.
Then he took his hands back.
Knight g to e7. Okay, white can take f4 with the knight. White can play d4, d4. All right. So now, the point is, if black...
What happens if knight d5? Knight d5, he takes d5 and knight
e7.
e7.
I guess d6 is what Magnus is planning to
All
play.
right.
It's like getting some... I mean, if black takes, then bishop f4, and white certainly is going to have some compensation.
Castle.
Well, castle's played. Now, once again, it's a big question. Do you want to take on f4 with the
knight or bishop?
Or the bishop? Well, obviously you would prefer the bishop, but once again, you have to make sure what happens after knight d5, pawn takes knight e7. Well,
He's taking a little time and takes with a knight on
he takes
f4.
with the knight. Yeah? So now, once again, a question for black: d5 or not d5? Because d6 is another option. But
it allows white to control the center. d5 we have.
d5, yeah.
e5 probably. e5 from white. No, bishop d3.
So he wants to keep it as is. Now if black takes on e4, he takes with the bishop, makes castle quickly, and tries to claim that he has, I mean, he has some use to this f file open. Yeah. Well, bishop on a5 is, well, bishop on a5 and as well as knight on c6 are somewhat out of play. Now that's a tricky thing. I know, not anymore. I thought, yeah, the pawn on d4 was hanging, but yeah, castle, bishop b6, king h1.
Looks natural
I guess,
move
king
here.
h1, yeah, like first thing you look at, or queen d3, bishop d2. That's the other thing. Queen d3, bishop to d2, rook to e1. Yeah, well, unorthodox opening, what to say. And it's not a surprise black is not ready for this one. Knight e7, g4. Oh, well, that's a brave move, g4. Knight to d6, knight g5. Yeah, threatening mate in one. Why not? Threatening mate in one. And, you know, like, game can be finished in no time. Knight g6, now h6 loses to queen h3. Queen h3, and that's it. So he has to take with f-pawn. And then white simply has a better structure. Bishop to d2.
Like extra pawn on d.
Yeah, almost an extra pawn. Bishop to d2, queen d7. Well, he has some weaknesses as well.
Yeah, this g pawn is too far.
h3 and now h6 followed by h5 or an immediate h5. I know.
h5 g6 is hung.
No,
yeah,
that's super stupid. I know.
Maybe some c5. What do you think?
Great.
Yeah, c5. Because this king, white king is pretty open.
c5, well, you probably take with white. That's what I thought, at
yeah,
least.
because if d5, there is a c4.
Yeah,
very nice, very small
d5,
check.
yeah, d5, it's not the move you want to play. So most likely you take, and after bishop c5, it depends if you have a safe square. I mean, maybe that's the problem. So that the black takes on c5 with the check, and then he has queen c6 if the king goes on light square. Even though it's possible to play king h2, maybe. That's like to take on c5 to play king h2. That's the first moment in this game where Magnus goes below on the clock. He takes a check, king h2. Right. That's correct. So almost upper pawn, right?
Yeah, then I think bishop f4, bishop g3 is needed to have this piece
Yeah, some
near,
protectors
close to
around the king. Yeah. But yeah, first black has to take care of queen d5 check, knight e6 after queen c6 follows. Once again, wants to grab the bishop. Attacks the rook on f8 as well as the bishop on c5. Wants to take the bishop, and who can blame him? That's a really, really dangerous piece. Rook f1, rook f1. Knight goes to e4, knight takes on c5. That's the position where black can consider taking d2. Black can consider taking on d2. Yeah, that's what he does.
D2,
and
queen.
rook on f1 is hanging with a check. Therefore, white is, I believe, forced to take on d2. Right, and with king being as open as it is in our position, I don't really think white is playing for a win. You know what? I mean, one of the moves would be just to play h6. Yeah, that's what he does.
I
mean, for blitz, it's a very...
secure the king's
Yeah. I mean,
position.
now it looks like white has check on f7 and takes b7, right? An extra pawn. But with king being that open, I don't really think white is better. Yeah, it's just like you go rook e8 with black. And actually, if any side is... Well, queen e4, but it's pretty much the same. You just go king h7. You have queen c6 as well. Queen b6. Okay.
attacking on b2.
Queen b6,
on the
attacking
other hand.
b2, covering both pawns. I'm afraid now Magnus will have the same position, just he won't have an extra pawn anymore. Queen e2, okay, rook somewhere, d8, yeah, rook to d8. Then you might want to play king h7 as well, just in case. Yeah, king h7, very practical decisions. So without much of calculation.
King f, rook f, queen c6,
Queen c6, pinning the rook. Yeah, that's one of those positions which are objectively equal. But it's tougher to play with white, who has the weaker king. Now you lift the rook, like say to d6, yeah, planning for queen d7 maybe. a5, a4, right, making sure those pawns are not moving anywhere. And as I said, every single move takes white some time to decide on. Well, rook d4 doesn't seem to be a bad thing to do. Queen to e8, now
wants
he's
to come rook
threatening...
e1. Or
I'm
rook
afraid-
e2.
Yeah, rook e1 or rook e2, kind of a double attack. King f1.
Only move,
Magnus
probably,
still
not to
keeps,
allow
yeah.
rook to come on e-file.
Still keeps everything protected. Well, but how about rook e3? Because now h3 is hanging, and as well, if you move the white rook, and how
Rook
about queen
d8?
e4? Queen e4, queen e4. Black is completely winning.
Oh
Black
my
is completely
god,
winning.
oh
yeah.
my god.
Yeah, but I mean, he was